In this video, I'm going to talk about the data structure array in C, C++, Java and Python. So, what is an array? Well, array is a collection of values of same data type stored in a single variable, or we can say that they are stored in under same name. So, we can also say that array acts as a container which contains values. So, one thing should be noted that all the items in the array are stored in adjacent or consecutive memory locations. So here is an example of array. You can see all the items are stored consecutively 15 to 17 and 8, and these are the address 100, 104. All of these are the address of all of those items. And one thing should be noted that any element in the array can be accessed using a subscript called index, which is an integer. So an index of an array always starts from 0. So these are the index. Now 100 is a base address, which is nothing but the address of the very first element. So as we have said that any element can be accessed randomly using this index, it implies that the address of any element can be calculated instantly using the base address, because all of those items are stored in consecutive memory locations. So we can say that any elements in the array can be accessed at a constant time, that is a big O of one amount of time. Now when we talk about the data structure array, we always talk about static array, and array is a static data structure because the size of the array cannot be grown at the time of execution, because it's being statically, or we can say that the memory of for the array is allocated using static memory allocation. So the size of the array must have to be fixed at the time of declaration. So whenever we will be declaring an array, we must have to mention the size of the array, and compiler will allocate the memory according to the size. So but there is something called a dynamic memory allocation, which will be discussed later, in which offers us to declare dynamically array and size will not be fixed. So user can allocate memory for the array at the time of execution. So in general, nothing can be deleted from the static array, or neither the size can be extended. Let's see how we can declare an array in C and C++. Well, the syntax for declaring a static array is same as in the C and C++. So first of all, we will have to mention the data type. It can be anything. Also it can be of user defined data type, and then we need to mention the name of the array, and also we need to write the size in between this opening and closing square brace. So here are the examples how we can declare. So here first we have declared an int array, so we need to mention the size. So we can use any size here as we want, and one thing should be noted that the size is 1 greater than the maximum index, because array index starts from 0. If we want the maximum index of 99, it means that it can store 100 values. So we need to mention 100 as the size to store 100 values. Here we can see that I have declared a character array which can store 100 characters. So in C there is nothing called string. So string in C is basically a array of characters. So also I have declared an float array. Also I can declare and initialize the array at the same time. For that purpose we will not have to mention the size of the array. We just need to write this opening and this closing square brace. Here is the thing that how we can access some elements in the array. As I have told you that any elements of the array can be accessed using the index. So if I want to access the 21st element, I need to write like arr, that is the name of the array, and in between this square brace I need to mention 20, because array index starts from 0. I also can change any element using this, that I want to change the third element, and index of the third element is 2, so I am writing arr 2 is equals to 12.59. In C++ there is something called a string class. So we can declare a string array like this string arr, and I'm mentioning 100 so that I can store 100 strings, and we can assign like this. Let's try to see how we can do this in Java. For declaring an array in Java, first of all we need to mention the data type, and then this opening and closing square brace, and then we need to write the array name, and after that this assignment operator, we can use this new keyword and data type, and then we need to mention the size also. Or we could do in this way, instead of writing this opening and closing curly brace at the beginning of this array name, we could write it as the end of the array name. Both are valid. So here are the examples how we can declare some array. As we know that Java is a purely object-oriented programming language, so we could declare an array of strings in this way. Also, we can access any element in the array in Java. It's actually same as in the C and C++. Let's try to talk about arrays in Python. Well, there is nothing called array in Python, but there is a very flexible data structure called list in Python. It's very dynamic in nature. It means that we can add as many elements as we want at the time of execution, and even we could delete some elements from the list. So how we can use that data structure? So here is the ways that we could use the list. First of all, we will have to specify the name of the list. Then we could use this list keyword, or we could simply use this opening and closing square brace to initialize a blank list. Or we could just add all the elements at the time of initialization inside these braces. So here I have added all the values that I want to add in the list. One cool thing about Python list is that it's not only contains values of same data type, even I can add values of different data types. Like here I have added an integer, a string, a float, and also I have added a string in this list name. There is a method called append where I can pass some values and it will put that value at the end of the list. So there are a lot of methods available for the Python list. Let's try to go ahead and see some of them. So here I have opened the Python terminal. First of all, declare a blank list like this. If I want to print this list, it will just show me the blank list. Let's try to append some element in. To append some element, we will have to use the append function, append method, and I'm gonna pass some values here. Okay, let's try to copy it because I'm gonna add multiple times. Okay, now print the list. Now what will happen if I want to delete some element from this list? Let's say that I want to delete 10 from this list. Okay, before that, let's try to add another 10 in this. And let's now print the list. Now let's try to delete 10 from this list. How we can do that? For this, there is a method called remove method. In this method, we need to pass the value that we want to remove. Remember one thing, that it will just remain the first occurrence of that value only. So if I give 10 here, and let's try to print the list, you can see that the first 10 is only deleted. Now if I want to delete some value at a particular position, like if I want to delete the third element, then I could write like this: del the list name and the index. So the index of the third element is 2, so I'm just writing 2 here. And if I want to print the list now, you can see that the third element is being deleted. Now if I want to sort the list, okay, just create another list, list1, because to add some values in random order. And if I want to sort this list, how I can do that? So there is a method called sort. I can just use that method. It will sort the list using quick sort. And if I want to print this list, you can just see that it's sorted the list in ascending order. What will happen if I want to reverse the list? I could use simply the reverse. Reverse is a function that will reverse the list. And if I try to print the list now, you can see that list is reversed. There are a lot of methods available for the list. You could just Google it. Thank you very much for watching this video. In my next video, I will be discussing about dynamic memory allocation and two-dimensional and multi-dimensional arrays. Thank you very much for watching this video.